Hi, my name is Daniel Solomon, and I wanted to do a video review of my iEmergency phone app. This way, you're not just reading through a bunch of stuff, and I can kind of, you know, point out some important points and make it much easier to see what's going on. So this right here is what the app screen looks like. Here you'll see it's just like a review setup that I had to make for it. So what this is an app for emergency room visits because we know there are long and stressful events, as it says right here. So the problem is the how to make the emergency room check-in faster and easier, how to make the wait times visible so you have a better idea of how long until you'll be seen, how to make it more comfortable, less stressful on the emergency workers, and make the checkout more efficient and filling your prescriptions and information paperless and much easier. It would actually not only help you only, it would help the emergency room as well. So those are just some of the questions that I had when I started. And I did research as it shows down here, and I actually didn't find a lot of much. There wasn't much out there in similar to this actually. There were some that you could do online or on your phone, but they were like the private hospitals where people are either members or something. They weren't the public. I didn't find any. Is there any? I don't know. I just did not find any in my research. I did look up why the waiting room can take a long time, and technology cannot do it all on its own, but it can sure cut down some of the time. And some of the reasons that I found, as it says right here, is because the doctors schedule surgeries and then they don't, they have to use the emergency room beds because there's no room in the hospital. So where are they going to put them? So that's one reason that can happen. So it's just one of the reasons. The research is here as much as I could find, and it wasn't a lot. And you think when you research something, you're just going to find a lot, and I just didn't. I was really surprised. I kind of felt like I was out here on my own, which it kind of was, but either way. So I did the research, and the personas are here too, which would be the staff and then the patient or somebody who's taking care of the patient. And it shows their goals and tasks, which are pretty much mirror each other in many ways, because for example, pre-check-in, patient pre-check-in. You're waiting, the patient waiting room, because there's always going to be somebody there in the waiting room. There's always going to be somebody working at the hospital, for the emergency room, waiting on the people in the waiting room. And then the checkout, the easy checkout, and then the personal patient data and the prescriptions. It all goes together with this app, and it would also include, and it ended up including so that we could take care of everything. It ended up including software that would be the hospital's software that interacts with your app and makes everything go together. This way you can keep track of everything by just the scan. Everything is scanned in, so it's actually quite simple as long as everybody has their software. I mean, it would be great if it was this easy. So, I did interview a lot of people. I mean, who hasn't been to the emergency room? Probably anybody listening to this has been there or knows somebody that has, or has brought somebody there. And boy, these interviews were like, they were all different, but there was a lot of similarities. I mean, a lot. I mean, everybody's got the uncomfortable seating. Well, why is that? Because you're sitting there for hours. I mean, I don't remember going to the emergency room that wasn't over an hour. Unless you're going to be like, you're having, obviously, like one of those life or death emergencies, you go right in, they do surgery, something like that. That's a little different. Yeah, so there's a lot of similarities in the interviews that I did. And so it was like my infinity map that you see here. It was pretty clear there was a lot of people saying the exact same thing, so I was able to do that pretty quickly, which is probably not always the case. And then this, I mean, if you can't make one of these with this subject, I mean, then I don't know what to tell you. I just found that it was easy because, like I said, when you've been through something and you're trying to create an app to address, like, to me, this is not shopping. This is not how can I get my coffee. This is serious. People can die waiting. You don't know when you're sick. Sometimes you go there and you don't even know exactly what's wrong with you. So I felt like this was a really important thing to tackle, and it's amazing how many things people complain about, and so I tried to address them, everything. Just when you think you've taken care of everything, something else pops up. So I did start out, but after I did all that and I took all the information I had, it was almost, I ain't gonna lie, it's kind of too easy to make the wireframes. I just already knew everything I had to put in there. More stuff than I thought, actually, because I did do a little, which you don't see here, some hand sketches, and I was like, wow. I mean, I missed a lot of stuff, and I don't think it's being stupid. It's just not my experience. So a lot of the stuff that the people brought up, I didn't experience that myself, and some of the stuff I never thought about. Off the top of my head. If we could do that off the top of our head, we wouldn't have to do all the testing and research. But and I'm sure there's stuff out there that doesn't need it. But anyway, back to this. So what happens is so anybody can use the app. But if you want to register, and it's a good idea to register because it just keeps track of your insurance provider, your policy number, group number, pharmacy information. And why do you want to do that? Because if you go back, some people go to the emergency room a lot more than other people. And so the hospital will always have your history. Now, patient history is kept in many different ways, but when you can keep it on your app, I think that's a pretty cool way to do it because your doctor, which is your primary doctor, will always have every access to all your emergency room visits. They don't have to look through the paper. You can just send them over the report directly from your app to their office. And so that's another feature of this app that's amazing, is that now you can go to your doctor afterwards and you just pull up the visit. Here's here's all the readings they found, which you see them right here. When you check into the hospital, they always take your temperature, your blood pressure, your pulse, and they make a little note. They ask you, hey, whatever they're asking you, how do you feel? Every visit's similar. So I don't know. I didn't make a list of what the hospital asked you, but I did make a list based off the research, the vitals, and obviously I've been there before, and so has everybody else. That's how I figured out all the main vitals that your doctor would need access to. And then down here, here's a little example of what the hospital software would look like. It has the logo with the banner, which isn't important, but the arrival temperature, your blood pressure, your pulse, notes with a little bigger area to type in. It has your pharmacy there, your insurance provider, and it's got all the other information that you input up here. Also, they have all of that stuff. So this is the design system. It's not, I don't want to exclude it, but I'm not going to spend time. I'm just going to scroll by it. These are just design systems. They really don't, in my opinion, at least. It's not that they're not important. It's that for this purpose that we're going through right now, you don't want to see the font family. If I was going to pick anything to show, I guess it would be to show you the buttons and the icons, because I did spend a little time thinking on them, but it's a typical login, locator, and then the little buttons, couple buttons in here, which I just made up, and so I didn't even see them before. I like to just make up my own stuff. They don't take too long, pretty quick. It's just a button. So let's see. So here's some of the high fidelity designs. And these were made after testing, and I did a lot of testing on the way to these. So what you'll see is the opening screen and then your login, and you can log in as in Facebook and Google, because some people prefer to do that. And so if you see the screen right here, it says, what do you want to do today? So if you just want to look up your old stuff, like your medications, you don't remember how much they gave you or whatever, or your billing or your vitals, excuse me, you can do that. So the way I designed this is so that people that are a little older will be able to see it. and they will also be able to use it easier than if it was just a bunch of drop-down menus. I know me, I have big hands, and so I hate little menus. I'm always, you know, I like the bigger menus if you can. I mean, some people think they look clunky, but in this case, they're important. I think that they're bigger. And another thing that I did when I designed it is I made it so that if you tap on RX medication, it takes up the whole screen. And then these three right here, as you see, they'll become smaller icons at the bottom. I don't know if I don't have any photos of those screens in here, but they are in there. So, you want to search, you tap location, and then you'll see all the rest of these are sitting at the bottom, and they're not small, but they're out of the way. And then, like I said, this way, if you're looking at your vitals and from last visit, and you were like, oh, just pretend, and you started feeling sick, and you're like, I gotta go to the emergency room. You can just tap on the location; it'll be down here. It'll put up. You can search, as you see here. This is if you search for the hospital, what would pop up? Trinity Hospital. Tap to begin or change your location. You can see as in the design system, all the buttons are like this, so that you know what page you're on and how many there are. Because it'd be horrible if you're like, how many more pages can I go over, and you don't know. Like, some people get confused by that. I like to give you a little mark where you know where you are on that section, so you're not wondering how, where am I? Can I go over? Did I miss something? I find it a little easier. And again, this is on this app. I would love to do it on all the apps, but they're all designed a little bit different. You don't have room for this. Maybe there's another way to do it that I'm not aware of. That I could modify this for something bigger. But for this app, it's perfect. And you can see, so this is the first screen. You tap to begin, your name, address. This is signing into the hospital. Then you fill out all this information and submit. And, well, these are all submits. And then when you get to this page right here, this is when you walk in the room. You scan it at the desk. It'll be like not the desk, the kiosk. It's a little scanning kiosk for this app. And then it'll tell you how many patients are ahead of you, all that kind of stuff. And then you can get a little scan code, like when they're ready to see you, they'll scan you in this way. Anything moving forward will be scanned in with this, will be your QR code that follows you on your visit. And so everything's kept together. And then here's your patient portal. And then so what that is so they can you can see your temperature, blood pressure as their diagnosis. If they're like, his arm's broken, whatever the case may be, or her leg's broken. Then the treatment, they would just type it in here. I mean, they do have to have that information. How they store it now, I don't know, but they can just type it right there into their screen, or not this screen, into this down here, as you see. This would be a full program. I'm not going to show it all here. I have screens for everything, but there is a lot of stuff about the hospital I don't know, and without sitting there with them for days, which if it was a real thing going on, yes, you would. You need to. You have to. But for this, I have the basics of what I know that goes on. So anyway, so you have the treatment of what they did, and then this right here is a prescription screen, and then it tells you like some notes about the prescription, like anything that's important, and then your little scan right here to scan out. And when they scan this, all the information they took from you during your visit loads into your app, and then you have everything. And then if you ever, as the screen up here shows, everything they did from here down will be here, will be here, and will be here. Okay, so it just you don't need paperwork for billing. Why do you need the paper for the billing? You don't need it. It's digital. You can still ask for it. I'm sure they print it out for you. Why not? I mean, you got to have a paper trail. I'm sure some people won't do without it. Your medication's all stored. Your vitals are stored. You go to your doctor like most people do afterwards, and what does he ask? You don't even have to ask you. He can have that stuff before you even show up. Because when you're at the hospital, and I know this from experience, especially if you're with a family member that has heart problems or whatnot, it's not like their primary doctor's doesn't know what's going on. They would definitely be in the loop. They have to know what's going on because they're the ones that prescribe you medication when you're not at the emergency room. So, and I'm, like I said, from experience, and I'm sure you know it too, the primary doctor is always involved. Everybody has one. Most people have their favorites, and so that's what this is for, to keep everybody together on the same page on one app. And also to make sure your emergency room visit is a lot faster than it usually is. No waiting there and having to wait for all the other people. You can be ready when you get there, or ahead of when you get there. You just got to scan in and let them know you're there, because your appointment is already scheduled as you're on the way when you submit it. So that's when you scan into that kiosk, all that's doing is letting them know you're there. And so you're ready for your appointment. You don't lose your place in line. You're just confirming you're there. Okay, so don't think that, I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea and be like, well, if you're scanning in and then they're putting you in line. No, you're in line when you submit, and then your I don't want to say job, but you got to make sure you get there and scan in. You could be the next one. You could get there and literally scan in and they're calling you right away. So that would be great. So again, this the portal screen. It's got basically the same. This is, this isn't the wireframe that you saw up there. And so the conclusion, as you see here, it's free membership has its perks, which this is free. I mean, why would you be charging people for this? I mean, I guess you could. I would do it for free if I could. So this gives a little overview of what this app is. It's actually a big overview, but I wanted to go through it because, if you just scroll through this stuff, it might not make much sense to anybody. They might just look and be like, oh, great, what is this? And so I like to give you the opportunity to see what I was thinking, how I was working, what I did to this when I was designing it and testing it over and over and over, and getting suggestions from people, because everybody's been there and everybody's had a problem. And I wanted to make sure this app does everything from before you get there till after you get there, and everything in between, including digitizing everything from your prescriptions being sent to your billing to your insurance company. All this can be done right here on this app. You don't have to worry about doing it later or doing it before, or anything like that. So, and one of the other good things about this is you don't have to. You can have somebody help you with this. If you're incapacitated, your family member can help fill this out, and it's much easier than sitting there with a pen and 20 sheets of paper trying to always fill out, that hospital book they always give you. So, yeah, I love this app. I love all the work I did on it. It was pretty thorough, and this is just something I'm very proud of. And I just wanted to, again, talk about it and not just show it, because talking about it really gives you an in-depth look at what it really is, and how I work. So I appreciate if you watch this, and I don't know, hopefully one day we could work together. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.